Hello learners, today we are learning about diversity management, unit 14 and unit 15, positive approaches to work behavior under the course code MMPC011. Let's see what is diversity management is. The diversity management is a practice of addressing and supporting multiple lifestyles and personal characteristics within a defined group. All the management activities which include educating the group and providing support for acceptance for various racial, cultural, societal, geographic, economic, and political backgrounds. Diversity is a very vast concept that inculcates various other differences such as educational background, sexual orientation, religion, physical or mental disabilities, parental status, work experience, pregnancies, and age. The company's policies must ensure and describe that there should not be any kind of discrimination or harassment on the basis of these differences in workforce. Diversity management is all about not only observing legal and political requirements, but also promoting culture and comfort at the workplace among the employees. This is within the organization. This is within the organization with differences. Companies need to analyze and recognize that social diversity develops richness to the company's community and enhances the quality of life of all the individuals at the workplace in an organization. Diversity in the workplace can ensure an advantageous environment at work with the benefit of innovation. It improves morale among the employees. It increases the teamwork among the employees and harmony among the workers. Let's see what is the framework of diversity management. Diversity management it is given that this particular framework of compliant and reactive is given by J. Frink and Pastor and H. Reimer in 2003. They say that there are 5 type of employees in an organization, from non-compliant to proactive people. In between, there are compliant and reactive employees. Non-compliant employees are treated and they are known to be as a liability for an organization, whereas the proactive employees are the asset of any organization. The positive outcome of proactive employees are very high, whereas a non-compliant is very low. Diversity management is necessary because diversity is pervasive issue in an organization that can be beneficial or even challenging and thus influence the entire organizational performance. Diversity management influences organizational performance in context of understanding the diversity in an organization, which helps the management leaders to incorporate their team members' diversities to manage retaining good employees and attracting good talent from the industry. Let's see what is discrimination. Normally, diversity and discrimination goes hand in hand. Diversity develops an opportunity for an organization to eliminate unfair discrimination. To discriminate is to make a note of differences, which sometimes in itself isn't necessarily bad. Knowing a difference that one employee is more qualified than another, it not only helps in making hiring decisions, but also knowing the leadership abilities of that particular employee, which not only help in making promotional decisions, but also for the overall organizational effectiveness. Usually when we talk about the discrimination, we mean allowing our behavior to be influenced by stereotypes about group of people. Unfair discrimination assumes everyone in the group same rather looking at individual characteristics. Discrimination can sometimes be very hazardous to an organization and employees both. So discrimination can take many shapes and its effects and can be varied as organizational context and personal biasness of its members. Exclusion or incivility is difficult to eliminate as they are impossible to observe and may arise because of ignorance of action of actors. Whether intentional or accidental, discrimination can be seriously negative for employers, causing reduced productivity and citizenship behavior among the employees, increased turnover, and negative conflicts within an organization. Unfair discrimination can eliminate qualified job candidates from initial hiring and promotions. Diversity is broad term and phrase workplace diversity can refer to any characteristics that make people different from one another. Let's see what are the levels of diversity. Basically, there are two levels of diversity, which are surface level diversity and other one is deep level diversity. When we say the surface level diversity, it means the differences that are easily noticeable are known to be a surface level diversity. These differences can be on the basis of age, ethnicity, gender, race, culture, language, disability, religion, background, educational qualifications, and so on. It can be measured easily, it can be quantified, and thus recruiters or the managers may discriminate on the basis of these differences. For example, a woman in an organization with age of 50 years and a woman of age of 25 years are sometimes more preferred to be get into hiring team so that one can hire a young professional with more physical ability to work on because the job role requires more and more field work. Otherwise, deep level diversity is basically depends on service level. It starts with surface level diversity, but these differences are communicated through verbal and non-verbal behavior, and thus these differences cannot be easily noticeable. Hence, it cannot be measured. These are attitudes, values, beliefs, and personality. Some of the differences can be quantified, but when we say about the human behavior, most of the time these are not measured properly. These become progressively more important to establish level of similarity as people get to know each other. Once they start working together, they come to know about each other's attitude, behaviors, what are their belief systems, and what kind of personality the other person is on. India's diversity concerns are mainly based on gender, age, city and hinterland, religions, demographics, physically challenged people, GDP distribution, marital status, sexual orientation, and even the nationality. Certain biographical characteristics are age, sex, disabilities, religion, tenure, gender, and abilities. Then again, abilities are bifurcated under intellectual ability and physical abilities. All of the people who are in the organization can be discriminated or diversified on the basis of these biographical characteristics. Let's talk about diversity at the workplace or diversity at the organizational level. People at the workplace are different from their perceptions, aspirations, and drives. We have seen many employees who have different aspirations, different perceptions towards the same job role. And thus, their responses to their seniors are also different when it comes to directing their performances. These performances, these differences among them are in terms of age, gender, culture, academic background, experiences, their lifestyle, nationality, social and political affiliation, talent, and skill. For example, people who come from a background where the people are known to be as the best of known by their educational qualification, and if there is any incivility within an organization, he or she comes with that perception about the organization not to be as a very good organization. Diane Gorman in 2005 characterized the diversity elements into three parts. One is social diversity, which refers to ethics, gender, and age. Second is value diversity, which refers to the psychological differences in personality and attitude of the people among the organization. Third one is information diversity, that based on educational background, functional tenure in an organization. These differences are so diverse and difficult to assess and analyze, it is almost impossible to manage employees in a standard manner. People with diverse characteristics should not be molded in the organization culture, but rather should be managed wisely. Their energy, their backgrounds can be channelized in a positive manner so that the diversity can be exploited for the betterment for them and organization on the whole. The reason behind rise of diversity, we are listening this word from on and on from most of the organization that they are working. They have a diverse population within the organization. They have a diverse workforce, but what are the reasons behind that? The first and the major reason is globalization. Globalization has removed many business barriers and allow free flow of goods and services, people, thoughts, their ideas, the capital as well. It is an ample opportunity for organization to expand their business worldwide. Their broad market has generated so many competitors with new type of customers and human resources. So globalization brings diversity in business with varied knowledge and skills from the people, their age, their culture, their ability, and their sexual orientation. Migration is another reason for rising of diversity at the workplace. Sometimes, due to maintain the current level of economic activities, organizations need to immigrate to work. Whereas, on the other hand, we have seen the increasing role of young people willing to work from the rural to urban cities because of high improved medical condition, better lifestyles, or maybe the high birth rate that cause difficult condition in the economy as well and absorb each individual in economic activity. So they need to emigrate to find jobs and move to the cities or to the different places and support their families. Women workers. Women workers are those professionals, those who used to dominated by male. Now it has been acquired and excelled by women, and these days new rules and procedures modifications has been introduced in companies' policies after intrusion of government. Aging population, improved healthcare facilities causing the increase in number of senior employees staying alive and active at the workplace. The median working age of the workplace is increasing. This explains why the work environment is being adapted to the old age workers and why many processes and procedures have been modified and altered for the workers and senior profiles. Next one is political diversity. Employees at organization enter with different political ideas and eventually affiliations. This emerges as a point and source of conflict among them, especially when they are compelled to make decisions regarding crucial national actions, for example, strikes, public demonstrations, or even the petitions. Now, there is a very big question. Is diversity a threat or an opportunity for an employer? Diversity is all pervasive reality that every organization, irrespective of its size, whether it is small or big, diversity is there. Diversity within organization must be welcomed, acknowledged, appreciated. It should be non-biased. It should be deal with creativity, warmness, and cross-culture recognition. No organization has a homogeneous source of human capital. Customers or suppliers, they have people from different backgrounds, diverse backgrounds, where they are need to interact. Diversity affects organizational performance on the whole. It is not just a moral or social or conscious issue. Rather, it becomes imperative for an organization to consider the same with the organization and modify the organization policies, procedures, rules, and regulations, as well as sometimes the culture accordingly. Diversity management is misunderstood as a diversity. It may lead to destroyed relationship, lost customers, failure of policy, or decline in profitability. Whereas diversity management means consideration, acknowledgement, and appreciation of differences as valuable. These practices not only enhance the organizational performance by eliminating or preventing discrimination, but also promote the inclusiveness within the organization. Whenever a question of diversity arises, people think of ethnicity and race first and then gender. But diversity is broader term and that need to be studied in various dimensions. Here the dimensions relates with the human attitudes, human qualities, their values, their beliefs, their personality, and all the other behavior dimensions. Diversity can also be defined as otherness or difference in human qualities that are different from individuals or group. Optimism. Optimism is one of the very well-known word which is used by the leaders or the managers for their employees. There are a lot of positive approaches which leads to organizational performance like emotional intelligence, spiritual intelligence, which definitely moves towards the optimism only. What is the meaning of optimism? That is very important to know because it is very well known word and it has been used by most of the people. Almost 90% of the people use be optimistic, follow the optimism path. Optimism is considered as a key component of modern positive psychology. Optimism is defined as power of positive thinking in general. Psychologists define optimism as a cognitive characteristics in terms of generalized positive outcomes, expectancy, and a positive causal attribution. It is also used in relation to other positive concepts such as hope and emotional intelligence. The positive influence of optimism on psychological and physical health, motivation, and achievement in various areas. Various areas here we mean athletics or maybe academic, occupational, or even the political successes. We always hear and about, we always say also sometimes be optimistic about the success. You will get that. Have been well documented in most of the literature and the researchers. Optimism has certain dysfunction, drawbacks, and definitely it includes the cost. What are the dimensions of optimism? Optimism as human nature. Early psychologists and philosophers considered optimism as a negative aspect and they claimed it is just an illusion. Only 1960s to 1970s, psychologists realized that many people had a positive bias to themselves than the actual reality. This positive bias has further considered by neuropsychologists, evolutionary psychologists, and many anthropologists. It is as a basic part of human nature. Optimism is an individual difference. The modern psychology treats optimism as an individual difference. As the people have varying degrees of optimism, treating optimism is an individual difference. Focus on cognitively determined expectations and causal attributions. Some unresolved optimism issues are little optimism versus big optimism. It may vary in level and degree in individual. We have seen some people have very high and very big optimism. They are by nature they are very optimistic. So we always say they have a big optimism, and some people are very low. The degree of the optimistic nature is little low. Otherwise, other way we see people from optimism versus pessimism. Though optimism and pessimism are considered to be mutually exclusive and they may not be. Learning and sustainable optimism. Optimism is sometimes considered as stable personality trait. Research shows that optimism can be learned and applied. Optimism at a workplace. Optimism is both motivated and motivating. It has the desirable characteristics of achievement, health, and perseverance. It makes internal, unstable, and specific attributions of personal bad events and is linked with positive outcome such as occupational success. So optimism is very positive workforce in workplace. It is known, it is proved to be as the positive power at the workplace. Only realistic optimism leads to effective leadership. There should not be false or fake optimism that may lead on the very bad situations. Some job careers where optimism is valuable are listed as advertising, social services, health, customer service, public product design, public relations, and sales. Although optimism is required at every level in every job role, but these are few of the listed job roles where optimism has to be very high. Let's see with an example of half full and half empty of optimism. Consider two executives who failed to get their promotion because of negative evaluations from their boss. One person, one employee is considered to be as an optimist. He have a half full vision. This half full executive who did not get his promotion was also shocked and surprised, upset. He see a glass full. A glass is a life, and instead, but he reasoned to himself instead of going to a rage, instead of grumbling, instead of crying. He discussed the situation with his wife or maybe to his colleague to determine what must have gone wrong and how could be corrected. He realized that maybe he was not given his best at work and decided to discuss it further with his boss. Next time in the meeting with the boss, he had a proper discussion. He looked after all. He admitted whatever mistakes he has done. He admitted that he was not able to work on a fullest of work. Here his life is towards the optimistic path. So, and definitely this person, this employee will get for a promotion maybe next year, because he knows, he's optimistic about his goals. He knows about his flaws, about whatever has been done wrong about through him. Where is the other employee who always look at life as half empty? Half empty means what is not with me, whereas half full refers to what is with me. The half empty executive reacted to us now in a rage. He had fantasies of killing his boss. He hasn't given me a promotion, so I'm feeling like killing him. Or complained to anyone who would listen to his unfair treatments, and went to a drinking binge maybe sometimes. He felt his life was over. He avoided his boss and looked down whenever he passed. In an interview, however, he admitted that he was angry and disappointed. He still felt that he was not capable enough to be promoted, and he was not in a position to change also. So some people view their life and day-to-day activities or events happening in around as half full, optimistic, and half empty. They are called to be as a pessimist. If we really talk about from organizational context, every organization really look out for optimistic employees. There it is because it is a process. Sometimes we have to go along with these process to look after our own flaws, our own mistakes, and see the life further, what is there for me. Happiness and well-being. Happiness is a concept. Seems to be readily embraced by a majority of people on an individual, and appears to be more valued than the pursuit of money, moral goodness, and even going to heaven. During the past 30 years, especially since the creation of positive psychology, psychology too has turned its attention towards the study of happiness and well-being. Now, every organization is talking about the happiness and well-being of their employees. There are many reasons why the field of well-being is flourishing these days. One, quality of life is becoming more and more important, and that matters of economic prosperity. Personal happiness, it is becoming more and more important because of growing trends towards individualism. Everybody is looking after the self-love or individual betterment. Valid and reliable measures have been developed, which have allowed the study of well-being to establish itself as a serious and recognized discipline. What are the benefits of happiness and well-being? This is very debatable. Everyone have a different set of happiness with them, but still there are few benefits which are known to be as a universal benefits, that is sociability, the success, helping behavior, the person who is happy and who is well-being, they are seen to be as more creative, they have a helping behavior, they have a better health because they focus on the individualism and self-love. They are self-regulated people. They are more successful in terms of their own beliefs. They are more social. The longevity is much more better. Now, happiness is subjective or objective. This is again interchangeable. Happiness and well-beings are used interchangeably because the notion of subjective well-being, we also say SWB, it is acronym, is used in research literature as a substitute for the term of happiness. So SWB is subjective well-being or happiness. It comes with satisfaction with life plus effect, how people evaluate their lives in terms of cognitive and effective explanations, and can be represented in this way. What is life satisfaction? It is an assessment of one's own life. It is a balance between present and what is thought to be an ideal situation for an individual. Effect represents the emotional side of SWB, that is subjective well-being. Positive and negative moods and emotions are associated with our everyday experiences. It's in everyday events. So it depends. So in a nutshell, when we are talking about subjective well-being, it not only comes with a balance of what is there for me and what can be the ideal situation, but also in combination of how I react to that particular event or particular experience which is happening around me. Nurturing subjective well-being. There are two main theories which are known as zero-sum theory and adaptation theory. Zero-sum theory says happiness and unhappiness are the periods, are the phases that follow each other. We are listening from years and years. Today, today's happy day, maybe you'll get sometimes a bad days or good days. It's all cyclic. Any attempts to increase happiness will soon be nullified by a consequent unhappy period. It is more likely that unhappiness tends to get fixed rather than being fixed from the very beginning. So happiness is it is like if we are happy today, maybe we are not happy tomorrow, maybe again we are happy day after tomorrow. It depends on the situations, it depends on the happenings around us, it depends on the events what is happening in our life. Second one is adaptation theory. Although happiness reacts to negative and positive life events, it returns to its baseline shortly afterwards. For example, lottery winners soon revert to their normal level of well-being. Maybe for the very few moments or few days, he may be very happy or overwhelmed emotions with him or her due to a winning of a lottery. But after a certain period of time, it is seen they are back to their normal level of well-being. It has been discovered that only life events that occur during the past 2 or 3 months influenced well-being. Now, these events can be positive or these events can be negative. But despite of these evidences, which get adjusted with some conditions, there are certain conditions, there are certain events to which people never adjust completely. That may be loss of their loved ones, maybe any injustice, maybe any trauma, widowhood, or maybe any loss, a big financial loss. But it depends on a personality, on a person, how they are nurturing their emotions, how they are moving further with an optimistic behavior. Spiritual intelligence. Spiritual intelligence is known to be as SQ. Along with the other two EQs, we call it emotional intelligence and IQ, that is rational intelligence or maybe intelligence thinking. In 1990s, Daniel Goleman popularized research from neuroscientists and psychologists, which demonstrated existence of emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is a feeling, is a basic requirement which is used for IQ. Whereas there is third IQ, which is known as spiritual intelligence, also known as SQ today. Now it addresses and solve problems of meaning and value of life, the intelligence with which we place our actions and lives in a wider, richer, and meaningful manner. SQ is the foundation of IQ and EQ. It is our ultimate intelligence. It allows us to be creative, change the rules, and alter situations. It allows us to dream, aspire, and seize the uses and limits of both understanding and compassion. SQ allows us to ask if we want to be in at all, or I would rather change it or create a new one. IQ, EQ, and SQ correspond to three distinct neural arrangements in the brain. It has always happened within the neural circuit of our brain. The outer one is IQ and EQ. IQ, the most outer one is outer, that is rational conscious personality, whereas inner is inner unconscious personality, whereas SQ is central core of our personality, what we are, what we want, what is a success for me, where I should be change myself. Whereas the EQ, that is the inner unconscious state of mind, where we think about our emotions, we relate our emotions with our rational thinking or rational world outside. Dana Zohar and Inan Marshall, in their book, SQ, Spiritual Intelligence, the Ultimate Intelligence, they say it is a serial thinking. It is done across neural tracts. It goes on and on along with EQ and IQ. It is measured by IQ because it is logical and rational thought processes. There is another associative thinking which is done through neural network. It underlines EQ. It helps with mental associations or connections. It creates patterns that we recognize like faces, odors, learn skills like playing an instrument or driving a car. Unitive thinking is creative, intuitive, and insightful and comes much more deeper within from our personal center, that is SQ. Spiritual intelligence integrate these subjective experiential themes of spirituality associated with meaning, sacred practices, interconnectedness, and transcendence, and applies them to tasks involved in living in order to enhance functioning, adaptation, and well-being to produce products that are valuable within the cultural context and within the community. IQ and SQ, IQ and EQ, it is a SQ which gives the ability to create an event. So overall, if we see from this context, IQ is important because for the logical and rational processes, EQ is important to associate with our mental connections and associations, and SQ is integrate how we can look out the rational thought processes and associate with our mental associations, and it ability to create and even the new thought process or new or change thought process according to the situations, according to the scenario given by the life to us. The concept of SQ is the ability to apply, manifest, and embody spiritual resources, values, and qualities to enhance daily functioning and well-being. Despite the overlap between religion and spirituality, there is general agreement on distinction between them. Religious is more focused on rituals and belief, whereas the spirituality refers to individual experiential elements of meaning and transcendence. There are three modes of brain processing. As we said, serial processing, parallel processing, and synchronized processing. Serial processing relates with our IQ functions, which is the rational thinking, and it is there in our left brain. Whereas parallel processing is all about emotions. It is all about what is our mental association that relates with our right brain. Whereas a synchronized processing, that is SQ, functions in our whole brain, whether it is right or left. Neural basis for spiritual intelligence. 40 hertz oscillations propagate across the whole brain synchronously. It associates with conscious attention and state of presence. By linking these part brain functions from both hemispheres into integrated field of the whole brain, 40 hertz synchronized oscillations connect mind, self, and outer world into the meaningful world. Consequently, for 40 hertz oscillation constitute the neural basis for spiritual intelligence. 40 hertz oscillation is a type of brain wave activities which occurs in human brain during wakefulness and sleep. It is also associated with sensory processing and cognitive functions. So for the SQ or for the spiritual intelligence, it has to be constituted within the neural basis on a synchronized oscillation. Spiritual intelligence brain circuitry. The recent finding in neuroscience confirms that SQ is hardwired in human brain. Spiritual intelligence remain dormant, undeveloped unless the spiritual intelligence neural network is actually used. Random moments of spiritual intelligence occur spontaneously but not very often. Therefore, it is important to know to activate spiritual intelligence intentionally, thus converting spiritual intelligence from a random fleeting experience into most valuable personal resource. Spiritual intelligence, it is known to be as an intelligence of soul. Spiritual intelligence have native qualities of consciousness, which relates to their experiences at the moment, the presence of form of wisdom, compassion, integrity, joy, love, creativity, and peace. Spiritual intelligence is then, after this experiences, it is activated and identified with awareness of thoughts and emotions, which allow the experience to its activities. And this shift, this activation and identification shift corresponds to the shift from ego to soul. And finally, it is known to be as intelligence of the soul. Let's see what is organizational spirituality. Most of the organizations are advocating spirituality at workplace because it is researched as if it is a moderated through greater employee motivation. It increases the commitment, adaptability, and flexibility towards the organizational change. The framework of performance enhancing workplace spirituality are as follows, that is benevolence, generosity, humanism, integrity, justice, mutuality, receptivity, respect, responsibility, and trust among the organization. Spirituality in the workplace can bind employees to the company and definitely enhance the job performance. Once they are together, they work in a team, they work in a collaborative working, it is seen that the job performance has increased drastically. Organization offers spirituality-oriented goals that provides the opportunity to experience higher sense of service and greater personal growth. Personal growth is individual, can be individual goal also, which get along with the organization goal as well. This in turns to better teamwork. Organizational commitment is seen high, and ultimately, organizational performance has been seen increased. Spirituality at workplace can be understood as a recognition of the employees have an inner life that is nourished by meaningful work that takes place in context of the entire community. The practical application of spiritual intelligence is something which everyone has, but very few learn to develop. Wherever the rational intelligence manages facts and information, we use the logics, we use the analysis, we use the data to make the facts and figures to make the decisions. Whereas emotional intelligence is also important at the organization to understand and controls one's emotions and feelings when they are at work. They need not to be very oversensitive or not to be undersensitive about the feelings of others. Whereas spiritual intelligence integrates the rational intelligence and emotional intelligence, and they know when to work, when not to work, when to work on that particular issues or when not to work on that particular issues. Practical applications are to find and use the deepest inner resources from which comes the capacity to care and power to tolerate and adapt, to develop a clear and stable sense of identity as an individual in context of shifting workplace relationships. It is to be able to discern the real meaning of events and circumstances and be able to make work more meaningful. To live those values without compromise, they demonstrate integrity by example. To understand where and how each of above is sabotaged by the ego, which means able to understand and influence true cause. Spirituality plus effective managerial leadership. It means how the spirituality help in managing the leaders, managing the effective leadership within an organization. The spiritual qualities such as confidence in the meaning and purpose of life, a sense of mission in life, and vision for the betterment for the world tie into the inspirational elements of leaders and those models of leaders that highlight the leader's role in defining and mobilizing meaning. Researchers have explored the spiritual dimension of leadership by proposing a transcendental leadership theory which integrates and extends the transactional and transformational theories of leadership. Transcendental leadership comprises three definitions of dimensions of spirituality: consciousness, moral character, faith. As leaders grow in spiritual development along these dimensions, they develop greater awareness and intuition along the conscious dimension, are guided by the internalized set of universal values along the moral dimensions, and more inner directed along the faith dimension. Effective leader manifests greater self-awareness, self-knowledge, which are the main components of spiritual intelligence. The leaders exhibit interdirectedness in form of creativity, which is very important to be as effective leader. There is an increasing interest in integration of spirituality in business leadership. It not only provide inspirational motivation, but also in order to articulate the specific meaning. Studies have shown that several spiritual intelligence abilities related to meaning, intuition, self-knowledge, self-awareness, egolessness, and humility contribute to the effective business leadership. Leaders lead to articulating a vision and mobilizing this meaning. The dissemination of meaning happens through symbolic management, maybe the metaphors or the stories that communicates a set of belief among the employees, the values among the employees within an organization. This symbols or symbolic meanings is done through the evocation of emotions. These leaders paradigm go beyond what is termed transactional leadership that involves managing and manipulating rewards. There is a theory which has come up on this is spiritual leadership theory, which is also known as SLT. Was developed within an intrinsic motivation model that incorporates vision, hope, faith, and altruistic love. SLT contains three main qualities of leadership. The leader has to be a very clear and concrete vision which defines the destination and journey, reflecting high ideals and standards for excellence. Altruistic relates to the love provides for sense of wholeness, harmony, and well-being produced through care, concern, and appreciation for self and others. Others here mean the team. Others here mean the people around they are working with. The hope or the faith. This fosters the endurance, perseverance to what it takes attitude, reaching their stretch goals with an optimistic expectations of victory and excellence. When we are talking about the team, when we are talking about the leaders, the employees are equally important, and employee engagement is more important when it connects with a spirituality. Incorporating spirituality at a work provides employees a sense of community. They have a sense or a feeling of connectedness within an organization. This not only increases the attachment or the loyalty towards the organization, but also the belongingness. Maybe the employees start feeling as they are part of an organization. This attachment, loyalty, belongingness relates with the organizational impact, the organizational commitment directly. This sense of connection and interconnection is larger than oneself. They goes beyond their job profile. They they follow the organizational citizenship behavior within an organization, and they consider themselves as a very important part or a spirit of at work. The consequences of spiritual experience at work results in not only employee attachment or loyalty, it also follows results to the organizational or the employee performance on the whole. Spiritual relationships include intimacy, the wholeness, authenticity, altruism, and integrity within an organization. Here, the employees, those who are spiritually incorporated, the spirituality is incorporated within an organization. It is seen the organization culture is much more comes with a positive outcome. The positive outcome definitely connects with the organizational commitment, or good organizational citizenship behavior, employee performance, and on the whole, it affects the organizational performance. The perspectives of spiritual intelligence enhances employees' emotional intelligence and social intelligence. It is seen that the employees who are emotionally, those who have spiritual intelligence, they are more emotionally intelligent. They know how to deal with the emotions at the workplace or at given situations, and they are socially intelligent also, what to speak, what not to speak, how to behave, how not to behave at a workplace, and even at the personal level also. Spiritually intelligent improve the employees' quality of life and well-being. They incline towards the individualism, self-care. They incline towards what is happening around them, which is good for them. Employees with higher SQ and EQ exhibit a sense of purpose, the meaning for their life, and hence they work accordingly as per their planned goals, as per the direction given to them through their spiritually intelligence behavior, and of course how to deal with the situations around. Spiritual intelligence transforms employees to feel a sense of interconnectedness and socially responsible. It is seen the spiritually intelligent people are more inclined towards the interconnectedness among the people around them, and they are also socially, they feel themselves as socially responsible at the workplace, even on the personal life also. Spiritually intelligent people fosters evolved and inclusive behavior among employees and the leaders within an organization. Definitely, the workplace, the spiritually intelligent people at the workplace are it becomes a human nature of an organization, and it affects the personal and professional life both. 7 practical steps to become a better SQ given by Zohar and Marshall are: become aware where I am now, feel strongly what I want to change, then reflect on what my own center is and my deepest motivation, what exactly I want, what motivates me, then discover and dissolve the obstacles or whatever the things which is hindering your goals or the motivation. Explore many possibilities to proceed further. Commitment is very important to self to reach the path. Remain aware that there are many paths, but we have to be optimistic even at the top of it. After reaching all the steps, there are many paths ahead. If in case one fails in one particular area or subject doesn't mean there is no other path. One has to be optimistic. It is seen that spiritually intelligent people have much more optimistic behavior towards the work and their personal life as well. Paths towards greater spiritual intelligence are conventional path. That is a path of the duty. They do their duty or their work with a very intense manner. Social, they are in the path of nurturing. Nurturing here means not only at the work behavior, not at the work, but also on a personal level. They investigate. It is a path of investigation. It is a path of exploring. Artistic, it is part of personal transformation, because there they know that what is good for them, what is the betterment for them, whether it is towards taking too much of work or maybe going beyond that. Path of brotherhood is a realistic. Enterprising is path of leadership. Servant leadership is one which is always required, which is always known to be the best leadership when it comes to the social, conventional, explorative, or realistic path, or even at the artistic. It gives the self satisfaction. It not only help a person for the self growth at a work, but also at a personal life also. We are talking about spiritual intelligence. Spiritual intelligence, as we learn that it is integrate the IQ and EQ. Let's see what is emotional intelligence is all about. Emotional intelligence is the combination of abilities, competencies, and skills. It is a collection of knowledge in order to cope with life effectively. It is closely related to the personal and professional growth of individuals who have to take decisions under stressful and difficult situations. It happens with everyone. Most of the time, we if we get success overnight, we get so much of overwhelm, we cannot hold the emotions. Or maybe if we get something, a very traumatic condition, there we feel very frustrated or very bad, maybe a death of a loved ones, or the promotion which was highly expected and at a workplace, but a person cannot get that, so they feel very frustrated and very angry. So it all depends, how we are settling with our emotions, what is our competency, what is my skill towards that, to handle that particular emotion. Therefore, EQ is the ability to recognize. First, we need to recognize and then to understand the emotions. And the skill is used to manage the self and relationship with others. As we have seen in the earlier example also, the pessimistic people are sometimes ruin their relationship with their bosses or people around them because they didn't get the promotion. So it may happen with the people who have a pessimistic nature, who really think there are no paths ahead, and he deserves, he may not deserve, he never get into interrogating or investigating on the flaws where he didn't worked well, what are the main reasons of that. So it's all about, because we get along with that particular, we have hang up with that particular, we stick to that particular emotion. Peter Solberg and John Mayer developed a psychological theory. It was defined as the ability to perceive emotions, to access, to generate emotions, as to assess thought, to understand emotions and emotional knowledge, and to reflectively regulate emotion so as to promote emotional and intellectual growth. The construct of emotional intelligence refers to individual differences in the perception, processing, regulation, and utilization of emotional information already there. These differences has been shown as a significant impact on important life outcomes. For example, mental or physical health, my work performances, my social relationships with the people around at the workplace, as well as in a personal life. Bar-on model. It is given by Rion Baron in 1988. He focused on range of emotional and social abilities, including the ability to be aware, to understand and express oneself, the ability to be aware and understand, relate to others, the ability to deal with strong emotions, and the ability to adapt the change, solve the problems of social or personal nature. It has four components, which includes intrapersonal, where a person is dealing within themselves, within their emotions, within this is a self interrogation, self analysis. Then it is interpersonal, where they are dealing with one to one or with the other person. Adaptability, how they deal and how they adapt the situations. The stress management, whether a person can be able to manage with the stress, whether they can be able to take the stress to what level, to what degree. Then there are journal moods. Barra postulates that emotional intelligence develops over time, that can be improved through training, programming, and there are certain therapies which are recommended to increase the emotional intelligence. It can be developed over the time with the age, sometimes with the interventions, with the training programs which are very much in, and the organizations are taking care of emotional intelligence training among the for the employees. So this is the components: interpersonal adaptability, stress management, and journal mood components. That is, we talk about the optimism and happiness and well-being. Then there is another model which is known as four-branch model of emotional intelligence given by Meyer. EQ consisted of two areas: experiential and strategic. Now, experiential is all about ability to perceive, respond, and manipulate emotional information. And strategic is, as the term self-defined, it's the ability to understand and manage emotions without necessarily perceiving feelings and feelings well and fully experiencing them. There are four branches of emotional intelligence, which revolves around emotional perception, emotional integration, emotional understanding, and emotional intelligence. This is emotional management. The four branches then again revolves around the emotional intelligence, which includes all the thoughts. The management encourages the openness and meetings among the employees. Emotions are perceived, emotions are they are discussed, they are sensed. The emotion and the intellectual and the personal growth is the thoughts comes and they discuss on that. The implications of emotions from the feelings to the meanings are considered. So all these dimensions, all these thoughts comes under the four branches only, where the understanding, management, perception, and integration comes further. They discuss, they work on the emotions, they talk about the emotions, they interrogate, they investigate, they evaluate, and they come to a conclusion how to be best in emotion, how to be best of the emotional intelligent person. Mixed model of emotional intelligence was given by Daniel Goleman, which includes self-awareness, self-regulation, internal motivation, empathy, and social skills. Self-awareness includes the emotional self-awareness, self-confidence, whereas social includes the empathy, organizational awareness. Relationship management relates with inspirational leadership, developing others, influence, change management, whereas the self-management relates with transparency, adaptability, achievement, and initiatives. When we talk about the mixed model of emotional intelligence is all about self and social. The first two quadrants on the left side has represent self-awareness and all about self-management, which includes the recognition and regulation, whereas the right side of our the quadrants and the boxes shows the social awareness and the relationship management. That is again the relates with the people around us, around about the service orientation, about the organizational awareness, about the change management which is going on within an organization. Because as a people are working with people, they have emotions, they have happy, they have good moods, they have bad moods. So how we are managing the emotional intelligence within an organization, This shows with a self and social model of Daniel Goleman. Let's come to what we have learned till now. To avoid the biases in decisions based on biographical characteristics, ensure job requirements align with candidates' ability through analysis, to make promotion and transfer decisions that support diversity and culture, adopt changes, jobs and infrastructure to accommodate disabled employees, implement comprehensive diversity program for sustainable impact. Workplace pressure affects moral engagement, wellness, causing stress, dissatisfaction. Enhancing, we also learned about enhancing SQ, spiritual intelligence reduces stress. We talk about emotional intelligence. We involve the understanding emotions and their impact on behavior and attitudes, the productivity, the efficiency, and overall, the high EQ improves self awareness, connections with others, enhancing organizational effectiveness. It not only leads to the leadership development, but it also leads to the talent acquisition, talent retention. Overall, in a nutshell, EQ, IQ, SQ gets along, but SQ is on a central core of a person, which relates not only on a impact on the personal growth, but definitely on the person. And a happy mind definitely leads to the happy organization culture, and overall, it gives the impact as an on an organizational performance on the whole, on a positive approach. So there are certain positive approaches which is among happiness and well-being, which relates directly with SQ, which increases our spiritual intelligence, that definitely puts impact on our rational thinking as well as our associative thinking or the emotional thought processes. Thank you so much. Namaskar.